Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Mental Health Diaries podcast. I hope you're all doing well. I've got some great information coming from the government website about cash injections to improve the mental health service in the UK, which is absolutely massive. So I'm going to discuss that today because I felt like, and I have been feeling like for a long time that mental illness always takes a backseat to physical illness. It's always way down the pecking order when physical illness is always put first. Yes, obviously that's important, but so is mental health. So today's podcast, we're just going to discuss that. I'm going to read out a statement from the government's website, so I'm not misquoted on anything that I'm saying. So it's all fact. It's all factual on the government website about how they're going to improve mental health services in the UK in 2023, which is, I think, is a massive step and a massive win for people that suffer with mental health like myself. Because like last year for me, I always felt like I didn't want to ask for help because I never really understood that there was help out there because there wasn't that many. If you go to A&E, if you go to A&E on a normal day, and you say you're suffering with your mental health, you'd be waiting 6, 7, 8 hours just to see someone. It's never been that important. It's never been a number one priority. But thankfully, the government announced late last year plans for 2023 and £150 million cash injection into the mental health sector, which will benefit everyone, which will improve services, which will improve patient care, and which will improve one-to-one counselling care as well. And that is massive for the mental health community and someone like myself who suffers with mental health. So, you know, I think, in today's day and age, mental health is something that a lot of people want to champion, but behind closed doors, they don't really think that it exists. They think you can just take a pill and be better. They don't understand the lengths that your mind can make you go to when you're suffering with mental health. They don't understand how fast your mind works, and it's constantly on like a merry-go-round with intrusive, nasty thoughts. So I think the government's announcement of the £150 million cash injection into the mental health sector is really, really important to improve patient care, and it will make people a lot more confident in coming forward and talking about mental health because there's massive cash injections into help and support where they need it and when they need it, which I think is massively important because physical health and mental health should be level. It shouldn't be any different because this is just as important as any other part of your body. And I think when I seen that statement on the government website, when I seen how much they were planning on putting into the services to improve patient care, to improve the number of counsellors available on the NHS, to improve the emergency care mental health needed, is massively important. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read you that statement so I'm not misquoting anything, and it's all available to get a hold of on the government website. And then obviously I'll just discuss what I think about what they're going to do, how they're going to improve the mental health sector, and how they're going to improve care for mental health sufferers as well. So bear with me while I get the statement up. It is ready. Okay, so here we go. Patients to benefit from new mental health ambulances and improvements to crisis care, backed by £150 million mental health bill, which is moving to the next stage. People experiencing a mental health emergency will be able to access more care in the community, such as crisis houses and safe havens, and those detained under the Mental Health Act will benefit from landmark reforms which provide patients with more control over their care and treatment, which is important as well because you still need a level of control because you know how you're feeling. Just don't take all our control away and just take someone into uh, uh, who- don't detain someone under the Mental Health Act without giving them a bit of control. £150 million investment over the next 3 years will bolster the NHS mental health services, will better support people in crisis outside of A&E, and enhance patient safety in the mental health units. These were all recommendations from Professor Sir Simon Wesley independent review of the Mental Health Act, which will now be implemented to improve patient care. The funding includes £7 million for specialised mental health ambulances across the country to reduce the risk, to reduce the use of general ambulances call-outs for those experiencing a mental health crisis and prevent the appropriate use of police vehicles as a way to take people to hospital. This will ease pressure on services, improve response times and outcomes for people in crisis, which will help save their lives, as well as ensuring patients experiencing a crisis are treated with dignity and respect. The government has also published its draft mental health bill today, setting out a wide ranging reform to the Mental Health Act to ensure greater choice and autonomy for patients in the mental health crisis. They will also aim to tackle the racial disparities in mental health services, better meet the needs of people with learning disabilities and autistic people, and ensure appropriate care for people with serious mental illnesses within the criminal justice system. The draft bill is now subject to pre-legislative scrutiny, where a parliamentary select committee will examine the draft in detail before the government publishes its final version. Health and Social Care Secretary Sajid Javid said there is a significant moment in mental health in supporting people with serious mental health issues. We are investing more to ensure NHS patients have tailored services and support, so people in mental health emergency can get the right care at the right time. Our reforms to the outdated Mental Health Act are another important milestone in better supporting those with serious mental illnesses and give people greater control over the treatment, particularly those from ethnic minority backgrounds who are disproportionately detained under the Act. Funding will also support local communities to invest in alternatives to hospital for people experiencing mental health crisis, such as crisis houses run by the voluntary sector, which will ensure people can access the treatment within their community. Increasing local capacity will reduce avoidable hospital admissions and inappropriate out of area hospital placements. This will result in improved patient outcomes as people in crisis will be able to receive specialised treatment in appropriate environments, reducing the risk of readmission to hospital. Ensuring patients are receiving the appropriate care and from the start will help to free up hospital beds, assisting the government's continued mission to burst the COVID-19 backlogs. Minister for Health Gillian Keegan said, "It's crucial. NHS mental health care and treatment for works for people. I've heard firsthand the anguish of patients and their families when they have been subject to inappropriate care. Bolstering the mental health support available to people in crisis will ensure patients are at the centre of decisions about their own care if they're detained under the Act. I will look forward to receiving the committee's feedback on the draft bill so we can bring the Act into the 21st century." Um, so it looks like there's plenty of reform coming into the mental health sector, which is massively important, um, especially when they're detaining people under the Mental Health Act, which I almost was last year, um, because that takes away all the power that you have over your own care. I think if you're detained, it's for a reason, but you still have to have some sort of say in how your treatment progresses. Unless you're obviously in no fit state to talk about your treatment and the best way forward, then obviously then it's down to the mental health professionals. But there needs to be some flexibility in care when a patient is able to discuss his care or his or her care and then take it forward, um, because it's vitally important that we still give them the right to decide how they're treated going forward. Um, but it's massive news for the mental health sector. Really, really big news that they're looking at this bill. They're looking at things very closely, very diligently. They're looking to push through these new reforms for the medical health sector. They're looking to really improve patient care, really improve, and they've actually listened to feedback from patients and families um, while producing this new bill, while producing this new reform. They actually say on the government website, they listen to patients. I remember last year I done a video of it on my channel. Um, there was a girl who went to A&E and said that she needed mental health help because she wanted to take her own life. She waited 9 hours in A&E before someone could come and see her. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. She said to the NHS, the receptionist at the hospital, she needed to see someone urgently. Her mental health is deteriorating. 9 hours she waited to be seen. It's absolutely disgusting. And the police got involved and everything. It was, and I can't remember the date, but there is a video on my channel, and that is, if you put that in Google, you'll see the story online. That was in England, and something had to give, something had to change, and thankfully, the government have seen that, have listened to that, taken the feedback on board, and done something about it with this new bill, with this new um, with these new different types of reform coming into the Mental Health Act. Hopefully, patient care will improve. Hopefully, the care that I receive and others that suffer with mental health receive is a lot better, is treated with respect, and the utmost importance, because mental health is as important as your physical health. And it was glad to see that I seen some. Um, I noticed that statement on the government website because I do a lot of research now on mental health. I like reading about it. I like reading or educating myself around mental health. When I came across that and the statement, I felt, really. I felt a bit better because they're actually taking us serious now. They're actually taking um, the mental health issues that the country have had seriously, and they're looking to put in some positive changes, and 150 million pound investment over the course of 3 years into that mental health sector should improve mental health care, not only for patients, but for families as well, because they go through it. My family's been through a lot of trauma um, in 2022 with me trying to commit suicide twice, living with PTSD, anxiety, depression, and self harming. So there needs to be help and support for families as well, because they have to see what I go through on a daily basis. Um, and that's not nice for anyone to see. It's not. And I don't believe in the fact that if a family member's suffering, I think the whole family's suffering because of the connection there. So there should be some sort of care for them as well, some sort of um, service or help that they might be able to get while they're going through what they're going through, seeing a family member being so close to mental health danger. So it's good, and it was a positive statement, um, and it's about time, to be honest. It's about time they got off their ass and done something about the mental health sector. Do you know how long I had to last year in 2022, I was paid I the waiting list was so long in the NHS, 7 months for counselling. I had to go and pay private counselling just to get me through a tough time while I was waiting for NHS counselling. 7 months waiting list. Can you imagine how many people are on that waiting list, suffering day in and day out, needing help, um, and they're not getting it because the government don't take mental health as serious as physical health? It's absolute bollocks. And it's about time that this has been discussed. It's about time the government have come out, put a statement on their website, what their aims are, what their plans are, and what they endeavour to do about improving patient care and family care in the mental health sector. And it's about time, because we've lost too many good people to mental health, and the NHS has let them down and let the families down because they haven't provided the care that they needed when they needed it. They just stick them. They're just a name on a fucking waiting list. I was a name on one of those fucking lists. 7 months just to see a counsellor. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And making that girl wait 9 hours in A&E going out of her mind, all the mental torture, just because it's not as important as someone who's fucking cut their leg or cut their arm or whatever. It was disgraceful, honestly, how she was treated. And it's about time, you know, um, the government grew a set of balls, um, found their balls, grew a spine, and done something about it. Because mental health has has for too long been shut down and pushed down away, and it's something that can be talked about but not dealt with. Because this needs to be done for this ward, this needs to be done for that ward, this needs to be done for this part of physical health. No, mental health is massive, um, and I can say that because I go through it on a daily basis. I can comment on that because they told me while I was on the phone to him saying I wanted to kill myself that unfortunately there's a waiting list for 7 months. It's disgusting, and I was telling him that I wanted to kill myself. It's disgusting, honestly. And my parents then had to pay for counselling just so I could get some help until a counsellor became available. And even then, they couldn't fit me in. They had to refer me to a charity who provide counselling for free. That's how disgusting the NHS service for mental health was last year. That's how they made me feel like I didn't matter. Like I could take my life and it would make their life easier because I'm not asking for help. That's how I felt last year. And it's wrong. It really is. It's just disgusting, basically. Um, and I'm glad that this statement has been finally put out. I'm glad the statement has finally been put out there for all to read. www.gov.co.uk. Search mental health. The statement will come up. All the facts are on there. All the figures are on there. And all the good news is out there. So, guys, there is hope. There is hope for mental health now because they're actually investing decent money into making the improvements, and especially the mental health ambulances, which I find is a great idea because there were times when I was suffering with my mental health last year, um, during the times that I tried to kill myself, that I was on the phone to the Samaritans, and they tried to ring for an ambulance, um, and because it was mental health and not an emergency, they deemed it not as an emergency. They couldn't send one as an emergency. It's disgusting. Now that with the plan that to have their own mental health ambulances separate to physical health ambulances, I think that's massive. Um, because there's if my family wasn't as helpful as they was, I'd be dead because they didn't help me at all last year. They just wanted to put me on a waiting list. Didn't think me asking for help was an emergency. It was disgusting. And it's not just me. Plenty of people around the UK have been treated the same way because of the fucking blinkeredness of the government about mental health. And I think they've had so many complaints last year that they've decided to do something and grow a set of balls, and decided to change the narrative, decided to change people's perception of how the government and the NHS treat mental health patients. Um, so I'm pleased and I'm a bit relieved because I know I'm going to face more challenges this year with my PTSD, and I now know there are plans in place for better care. There are plans in place to improve, uh, the avenues of care. So there's more options now if I do need help again, which I will, because I still have suicidal thoughts. I still have those intrusive thoughts. I still have those negative thoughts. I still self harm. Um, every part of every single day, I'm either crying, angry, depressed, down. Like I'm only okay at the moment because the medication I'm on, but there will come a point today where I'm a bit down and I feel like there's got to be more to life than this. But that's just what I'm going through at the moment. I'm undergoing counseling at the moment. I've only had 2 sessions. I'm having trauma therapy because I suffer with PTSD and flashbacks. and that they leave me feeling very distressed. So, um, reading the government's statement, reading their planned changes to the Mental Health Act is massive, not only for me but everyone else around the UK that suffer with mental health, because we were treated like fucking peons, like peasants last year, and in the years gone by. It was never something that was important. Mental health. It was always something that was pushed to the back of the queue. Um, and finally, they're actually doing something to improve patient care in the UK when it comes to mental health. Um, and that's important and massive for the mental health community, because it's it gives us hope that there is help if we need it again, and we all do. Look, you don't just get over mental health just because you might have a good few hours and you feel a bit like yourself because you're on medication and the right courses of medication, and you're getting the correct hormones released in your body because of the medication you're on. What happens when the medication wears off? You're back to square one. So it's not a sprint, mental health, it's a marathon. And you've got to be willing to take the bumps, take the pain, and hopefully one day with the care and the treatment you can come out the other side with a better perspective on how to manage your mental health and stay in a more stable mindset. So, I just felt like I needed to do a podcast today, um, which was previously just my YouTube lives. But obviously, I want to branch out into podcasting with the MHD podcast, Mental Health Diaries. Um, so, I'm going to be obviously creating a Spotify account soon. And these videos will also be uploaded to Spotify as well. So, it'll be on there to listen to. Um, Hopefully next week I'm going to have one of my family members on as a guest, to get their perspective on what they went through when I was going through my mental health struggles. I think that's important to have a family member's view. I've also got a friend who, funny enough, does my tattoos. He went through mental health a few years back. So I'm going to have him on my podcast soon as well. And then a friend that who's helped me through some of the tough times as well. So I've got plans for my podcasts. Um, I want to grow the channel, obviously, and I'm branching out with my YouTube lives. Just my YouTube lives, the videos that were my YouTube lives are now going to become my podcasts. They're still going to be YouTube. They're still going to be available on YouTube as a live, but they'll also be available on Spotify, and maybe I'll look into getting it on Amazon as well, um, because I think a mental health podcast, with someone like myself who goes through mental health. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, clinical depression, severe anxiety. Um, and obviously I've tried to commit suicide twice last year, been close to being taken into care a few times. I self-harm, and yeah, I'm smack bang in the middle of it all. But I'm pleased that I've seen that government statement online, and I'm pleased that they're taking mental health as serious as it is. And that's why I'm branching out this podcast, and my YouTube lives are now becoming my podcast, the MHD podcast live with me, um, every week. Still be producing content on my channel. I've got a video going live on my channel tomorrow. Again, it's another taboo subject, so viewer discretion is advised on the video that is going live tomorrow because of the nature of what I'm talking about. Um, but I believe in being honest. I believe in being as true to what's happening to me as I can. Um, I've said many times recently now that I'm able to talk about what I'm going through without getting upset because I'm all cried out. I've been literally, I don't think there's any fluids left in my body to produce tears. It's that bad. Do you know what I mean? So I'm okay about talking about it. Yes, it upsets me and I feel down afterwards, but I also feel a bit of a slight relief. So hopefully the podcast can grow, as well as obviously my channel, because they'll still be available on YouTube Live, and then my mental health podcast will also be um, live on Spotify to listen to as well. So I think that's massively important. Growth of the channel, trying new things, using the platform to as part of my recovery, as part of my treatment, as part of me discussing my issues with you guys and being as honest as I can, um, because you know I spent too much time locking myself away, not talking to anyone, hiding behind a smile, and that is the most tiring thing to do. Um, Hiding behind a smile every day. Inside, you're fucked up, but you're putting on a smile like everything's okay. You're trying to be someone that you're not. Um, and the worst place you can ever be is trapped inside your own head. And unfortunately, that's where I am, because of what goes on in my head. Um, that's the worst place you can ever be, is trapped inside your own head because you can't get out of it, unless you ask for help and find the treatment, and hopefully they can find a door for you to walk out to. But you have to walk that path. They can show you the path, but you're the one that's got to walk it. So we have to find something within ourselves that will enable us to do that. But who knows? Look, the I guess the outcome um, is on us. We control the outcome. If I have another breakdown, which, like I said, from day to day, anything can trigger my mental health. Anything can trigger a flashback, and when that happens to me, like that's why I don't sleep. That's why you can see the bags under my eyes, because they leave me feeling so distressed. That's when I'm either really edgy and that side of me scares me, or I self harm. And unfortunately, that's what I have to do at the moment to get through the day. So I don't, I don't advocate that. Um, Unfortunately, it's just a coping mechanism uh, I've developed over time to get through my worst moments. But hopefully, my therapist can change that. We'll see. Time will tell. Um, but I'm a bit relieved that the government have finally done something, and there's going to be more and more help available to mental health sufferers across the UK, as 2023 progresses, and that can only be positive, and that can only be beneficial to the families and the patients, um, because all mental health sufferers ask for is parity, is to be treated the same as someone with a with a physical illness. They should be treated exactly the same. Both emergencies, mental health and physical health emergencies, should be priority number one, but they haven't been in the past. They haven't been in the past. Can't say that they have. But now, reading the government statement, their plans, it does give us a little bit of hope that there is change coming. There is reform coming. There is a better day coming. Um, of course, as human beings, we want to be treated with respect, and sometimes people with mental health don't get the respect they deserve, because there's still a majority of people and groups of people that don't believe in depression, don't believe in mental health, believe that you can just take a pill and be okay, believe you can just build a bridge and get over it. That's not how it works. You need to educate yourself around mental health, because believe me, if you walked a mile in my shoes, a lot of people wouldn't last. I've gone through hell and back this year, in 2022, and I'll probably revisit hell again in 2023 at some point, because there is a side of me that scares me. Uh, but that it is what it is. When that happens, then whatever happens to me happens. But I'm just pleased that there's hope, and although that full statement and list of reforms and changes is available on the government website. If you just go to www gov.co.uk, put mental health in the search term, uh, and that you will see that statement. Because of course, um, the way to move forward is that things have to change. We can't go backwards anymore. Patient care in mental health needs to become a priority. Fact. Fact. Um, yeah. So who knows what 2023 brings for me? But there's hope now. Like I said, if you want to read the full statement, it's go to www.gov.co.uk, put mental health in the search bar. That full statement and new mental health billing changes are all on there to view. It's great news for the mental health sector. It's great news for the mental health sufferers like myself and like you. Um, and yeah, it's something that needed to happen. They finally got a spine. They finally grew a set of bollocks and done something about it. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast today. Um, get in the comments below. Let me know what you think about these changes. Um, and if you've had any past experiences or uh, really bad experiences when you've asked for mental health help, let me know. Be interested to hear what your stories are. Um, but keep supporting the channel, keep supporting the podcast. It will grow from strength to strength. You will start seeing guests appearing on the podcast, and we will tackle the difficult subjects in the mental health, in the raging, ongoing mental health debate. Thank you for watching the MHD podcast with me, Don Vega. Look after yourself, look after your family and friends, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.